8 years ago, I was diagnosed with melanoma. I've had quite an interesting experience since then. There were limited treatments early on. It was do nothing and observe or use interferon. And at that time, it was controversial whether to use interferon or not. The opinions were very spirited in either one direction or the other. Nevertheless, psychologically, I needed to be treated. At the end of the day, it was the only approved course of treatment, and we opted for it. I had regular scans during that time, and the disease seemed stable. I finished the course of interferon in a year, and all we did at that time was continue with scans. Within a year or so, I had some new lesions in my lungs, and for that, I had surgical treatment. I also was treated off-label with something called CSF, granular macrophage colony stimulating factor, also with the intent of suppressing the immune system. I was also treated with 4 rounds of IL-2, which was a very, very rigorous course of treatment, but it also temporarily controlled progress of the disease. So really that was 5 years of different treatments, surgeries, and a more traditional pre-IPI approach to melanoma. We always knew that there were some clinical trials going on for new drugs. At the time, the drug that I ultimately was able to use, ipilimumab, was known as MDX-010, and it was all over the patient information blogs and all over the internet. But until I was really considered an advanced melanoma patient, it wasn't available to me. And then I developed some more lesions and ultimately a brain lesion. Once I had a brain lesion, I became eligible for a very, very narrow specific arm of the trial to determine whether IPI was effective across into the brain. So if one can say you're lucky that you have a cancer in your brain, I was very fortunate. So I began the trial after consultation at Sloan Kettering, full explanation of everything I had to do. I've actually been enrolled in an extension of my trial, and I'm still on that trial. They wanted to see if there was some efficacy in continuing to use the drug at this dosage and understand how that would impact the patient and all of the side effects as well as the response to the disease. My experience in the IPI trial has been quite manageable. I've always felt good during the whole 8 years I've had melanoma. I never had any health impact from the disease. It was my expectation that I would not fall victim to melanoma. Even when I received tough prognoses, I believed that if I stayed with it, kept up with whatever was available at the time, the progress would catch up with me, and it certainly has. I've been fortunate to learn a lot about what's going on in funding for National Cancer Institute and NIH in general, and it's really unfortunate. In long-term government commitment to cancer research and to medical research in general, it's unfortunate that it's not a higher national priority. You know, we owe our population the best medical care in the world. The speed of progress is such that everyone has good reason for optimism. The government, the private research, pharmaceutical and other medical research companies, and not-for-profits, they all have to work closely together to make this happen. Government has to really, really step up and fund cancer research in a much bigger way.